What is up, Rams, and welcome back to the grooviest show on campus. I'm Naomi Homer.
And I'm Katrina Leiby. This episode, we will be starting off slightly different as we introduce to you a brand new segment here called Industry News.
Both Katrina and I will be giving you the full rundown of some of the most pressing news hitting the music industry today. After that, we will have yet another edition of Beats on the Street, where we find out what songs Rams listen to over spring break.
As well as a look inside one of the smallest venues in Fort Collins and how it helps local musicians get their start performing.
We also met a CSU student who brought a new meaning to Christian rap music.
And don't forget to stick around to the end for some spicy new music recommendations from Naomi and I, all right here on Local Beats.
Shortly before the band was meant to take stage for the festival A Stereo Picnic in Columbia, the Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawking tragically passed away. Toxicology reports show that there were traces of 10 substances in his body, including antidepressants, opioids, and other drugs. But the cause of his death is yet to be determined. The Foo Fighters were meant to perform at the Grammys, but following Hawking's untimely death, they decided to cancel their appearance. However, Hawkins was honored at the Grammys with a video montage of his past performances and was accompanied by the band's song, My Hero. The world of rock music will sorely miss Hawkins' presence and contribution to the genre.
When you hear the name Metallica, do you think of giving? Well, that's just what the band did this past Monday. The heavy metal group donated over $500,000 to the World Central Kitchen. The WCK is a nonprofit organization serving meals to Ukraine refugees. But that was not the only donation these rockers gave. This amount was a follow-up to an earlier donation of $100,000. The band says they wanted to kickstart the month of giving with a large donation. Their goal is to raise $1 million for the organization. They plan on accomplishing this through selling exclusive merchandise and raffling off the band's guitars to fans who donate.
Although Will Smith was definitely smacked into every headline after the Oscars, there are some new names surfacing following the Grammys this week. Jon Batiste was the night's biggest winner in terms of numbers, taking home 5 Grammy Awards and the title of Album of the Year for his album, We Are. Batiste is the first black artist to win Album of the World since Herbie Hancock in 2008. Along with Album of the Year, Batiste also took home American Root Performance, Best American Roots Song, Best Score Soundtrack for Visual Media, and Best Music Video. In response to these wins, Batiste said, quote, "I just put my head down and work on the craft every day. It's more than entertainment for me, it's a spiritual practice. We will have to see where this powerful artist takes his career in the future."
Speaking of the Oscars, the trophy for Best Original Song went to none other than Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas O'Connell for the song No Time to Die. This is the third song from the James Bond franchise to win an Oscar, with their predecessors being Adele's Skyfall and Sam Smith and Jimmy Naples' Writings on the Wall. As you can see, timing is everything. The film franchise celebrated their 60th anniversary the same night the Grammy was won for the song. In their acceptance speech, Eilish thanked the 007 family for making it worthy of James Bond, while O'Connell thanked their parents for their inspiration and support.
The popular rapper Doja Cat recently set Twitter fans ablaze when she declared that she was going to quit music last March. Shortly after receiving much criticism over the cancellation of her show in Paraguay due to flooding, the rapper took to Twitter claiming that she quit music and it was dead to her. All rest assured, though, to anybody who was hoping to see her open for the Weeknd's upcoming tour. She stated a few days after her initial claims that she will not be bailing on the show and people can count on her appearances that are already set in motion. However, she claimed that she does not mean she will return to music afterwards. Even after all of the controversy, Doja Cat still attended the 2022 Grammy Awards ceremony and took home the award for Best Pop Duo Performance alongside SZA for the song Kiss Me More.
Now, if you're anything like me, Harry Styles is in all of your latest playlists, and it looks like there's another song for us to add. Styles' song As It Was has been voted this week's Best New Music on Billboard. Dropping just this week, the song has clearly picked up a large amount of popularity, making Spotify history as the most streamed song in a single day in the US. The recent song is part of Styles' much-anticipated third album, Harry's House, which is set to release on May 20th. If one song is this popular, then fans have a lot to look forward to for the rest of the album.
Well, Rams, those are all the big stories in the music industry we have for you today. But stick around, because after the break, Katrina and I will bring you some hits from spring break.
Queen is just my everything. Right now, I wouldn't know where my life would be without her.
They say chivalry's dead. It's not. Terrence is a gentleman. He opens doors. His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. It takes me to a place of no hope. It takes me to a place of loneliness. It saddens me. When you discriminate against somebody in housing, where do these people go? Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. With spring break being a little over 2 weeks ago, we wanted to know what tunes Rams were jamming to during their time off. We found a lot of songs to add to our playlists, and a couple we've been listening to for years.
What is up, Rams?
Welcome back to another episode of Beats on the Street. I'm Katrina Leiby.
And I'm Naomi Homer. Today, we want to know what songs you guys had on repeat over spring break.
It was Plasma by Dr. Gabba.
Okay, awesome. And
Yeah.
why was that like the song you went to?
A friend recommended it to me, and I really liked the sound of it in the gym.
It's the new Red Hot Chili Peppers song that came out here recently. Black Summer. Black Summer. That was a
And
go-to.
why do you like that one a lot?
I've just always loved the Chili Peppers, and John Frusciante is back in the band with them, so I'm excited to see their new stuff coming out here in April.
Yeah.
Cigarette Daydreams.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. And why is that one like your favorite?
I don't know, I just heard it pretty recently.
Oh, really?
My friend, so yeah.
It's a nice song. It's
I've been
a good
rocking
find.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I was definitely listening to Kane Brown. Oh no, a lot of Kane Brown though. Probably One Mississippi though. That was the jam.
And why that song?
It's catchy, it's fun, it's a blast, and Kane Brown hits.
But there's this Spanish artist, her name's Rosalia.
Okay.
I don't know if you know of her.
I do
But she
not.
released like this new album, so I was listening to that a lot.
Awesome. What's the album called?
It's called Moto Mami.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
And is there like any particular song off that you would recommend to anybody?
Like the first track off that album, called FoCo or something. It's in Spanish. But she does like, she kind of does like Spanglish rap a little bit. She just has like
That's
such
cool.
a weird genre.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's going on here? Really?
Drunk Face by Machine Gun Kelly.
I'm overcompensating for heartbreak. I swallowed a pill that was in a heart shape. Her hands on my chest.
And why that song?
It's just really like a fun song, especially if you're going for a drive like in the sun and stuff. It's really cool.
Let's see, a lot of songs, but my favorite is All to Death I Owe by Camp.
Remember the thing that I told you 3 years, 2 moons ago.
Okay. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, it's super good.
Why is that one like your go-to?
I don't know, it reminds me of like going on a hike.
Aw.
So, yeah, I like it.
For spring break, what song was I listening to? Hit 'Em Up Style by the Blue Cantrell, I think her name is. Yeah.
And why that one?
It's just very catchy. It's like a hip-hop R&B kind of vibe. Yeah.
I think I say this every time we do a Beats on the Street, but I'm so shocked by like the variety of everyone's music taste here at CSU. Like you can go from like R&B, like what we just listened to country, to Spanish, like all kinds of different like music tastes.
Yeah, that's so true. Some of those songs I'm just so surprised by, where I'm like, oh, I've never heard that one. Or like when she said Hit 'Em Up Style by Blue Cantrell, I was like, that is so old. I remember listening to that song so long ago, but then some people are like listening to really new ones, so it's always just really interesting.
Throwbacks are like my favorite thing to hear when we ask people about that, just because like I feel like everyone has their own personal connection to the song, and so when someone else says it, you're like, oh, like you've had like that same experience almost, you know?
Yeah, it's really fun to hear what people have to say.
I would say I think my spring break music was probably Croatian music. I listened to it a lot with my boyfriend when we were like visiting each other over break, but
Croatian music, that's interesting.
I mean, talk about crazy different styles of music. What about you?
I think I was listening to the new Maren Morris album.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, she's one of my favorite country artists, and me and my best friend are like texting each other like, have you heard the new album yet? So it was really
awesome,
fun.
Yeah. Well, speaking of great music, don't go away just yet, Rams, because after the short break, Katrina gives us an inside look at the Atrium, one of the most intimate venues here in Fort Collins.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate.
The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances.
Hey buddy, what you doing?
I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy.
Ugh, my bad.
Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, fresh toothbrush.
Have you seen my toothbrush?
Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Welcome back, Rams. Have you ever wanted to go to a concert where you are barely a foot away from the musicians? Well, Fort Collins has just the place. Naomi and I checked out the Atrium to see how a small music venue is helping local musicians get big. Welcome to the Atrium, one of Fort Collins' smallest bars and music venues, hidden right underneath the Alley Cat Cafe. The Atrium opened in January 2021, and co-owners Hunter Horsfall and Connor Williams enjoy its intimate atmosphere and welcoming vibe.
I would say for me, a big part of the reason we opened the Atrium was so that we could kind of encourage a new space for our musicians. We wanted to open a different kind of bar. So our goal was to essentially have a bar where, you know, people didn't necessarily feel like they had to have a drink in their hands. We modeled the lounge off of like a mid-century modern conversation. So we really wanted a cool space where people can kind of, that would accommodate a lot of different groups. So it'd be easy, like one person would take up one corner quadrant, someone else can kind of cozy up in the other corner, just give people an opportunity to interact with one another.
Horsfall and Williams wanted to make the Atrium a place for local musicians to get their first experience performing.
I think it's really valuable giving people a chance. Like, we haven't booked really any touring acts. It's all been local bands. We've been a couple people's first show as a new band, and that's really hard. Like, as a new band, if you don't have, it's like having no work experience.
Our whole goal is just give them all the tools that we can provide so that they can put on like a good show, and you know, so it makes the space feel a little like more of a community.
The two like that the Atrium supports musicians, even giving them all the profits from the shows that require ticket purchases.
So we do a $7 cover every Friday night, but on all of that cover goes straight back to the musicians. Like, I think a lot of places,
they're focused off of like on profiting off of music.
Yeah.
And like we do profit. Like our community grows and it's more musicians and more artists and more people I want to spend time around.
The Atrium has had lots of local bands come and play shows, most notably Costanza and Cactus Cat.
All of these bands are people that are trying to grow outside of Fort Collins a little bit. Like, they've all played some shows in like Denver or Cheyenne, but they're really trying to grow their base.
Yeah.
And it's
starting to make a name for themselves, really.
It's awesome being one of those places that helps move that along.
One thing I could not help but notice when we were watching that and when we were there, like talking to the owners, was that they actually like showcased a lot of the bands that we've actually spoken to here on this show. Like I feel like we've built kind of a relationship with them, and it was so cool to see them come to this fairly new venue and like thrive in this like really cool like spot, you know?
Yeah, because they mentioned like Costanza, Cactus Cat, and we were like, we just had Costanza on our last show, and they were like playing at your venue. I also really thought that it was cool. So these guys own the Alley Cat and the Atrium, and they made the Atrium as like kind of a partner to the Alley Cat, because they were like, the Alley Cat is where students go and like study, and then like when they're done and they want to hang out at the end of the day, they come down to the Atrium. And I thought that was like a really cool business idea.
No, I think a lot of students, like me personally, I would love to do that, like go to the coffee shop, do my homework, and then when it came to be time, just wander down to the Atrium and go see some music. I love seeing live music, and the proximity is like the coolest thing. Like you're so close to them performing. Yeah.
I really loved it, and just the vibe in there is cool. And they even talked about like there's so many different like drinks. It's not like a typical bar. They really have a lot of like variety of drinks and stuff like that.
Like they didn't just have alcoholic choices, but they also had like kombucha and kava and like all kinds of different drinks.
Yeah.
That was a cool place to hang out. And speaking of other artists in the community, when you walk into a church, one of the last things you may expect to hear is rap music. But CSU student Jake Nash has used this style to express his faith and personal trials, as well as putting a positive spin on what typically is a genre with a darker message behind it.
My name is Jake Nash. I am a Christian rapper and hip-hop artist based in Fort Collins.
I ain't looking in, I'm looking up. Holy water filling up the cup.
So I grew up not a Christian, and I loved hip-hop, and I still do. Just the genre, I think, is really lost. I mean, it you know, idolizes terrible things, drugs and guns, and so I think there's a spot for a light in that area, and I love that music, but I hate the message. So I want to change that. When I started making music, I was going through a really hard time. My mom passed away from breast cancer, and I just made music to cope with those feelings. And you know, when she died, she left this kind of hole. I used music to fill it, and that started out really good, but it kind of became this idol in my life, this thing that all of my happiness was in the success of my music. So I was just chasing streams, chasing numbers and likes and success, and no matter how much I got, I still wanted more. Music became kind of bad. My second year of college, you know, after my mom had passed away, about a year after that, I came into a relationship with Jesus. My mom had a great relationship with him. She was a devoted Christian, and I didn't really understand it at the time. But she had this hope and this peace that I really had no idea about. And so after a year of, you know, looking everywhere for fulfillment, I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to open the Bible and see what my mom was always talking about to me, always trying to get me to understand. And I just found the peace that she found. I think it was just really a way for me to connect with her and to also just express some pain and loss that I didn't want to talk about. And so I poured that into music, and I guess my hope is that you know, there's people that can relate and people who hear my music and hear the journey that I've been on. So Can't Breathe is about my mom, and it was about how I felt immediately after she died and how I felt once I came to know Jesus. Like her death took my breath away. Like I could not breathe. And you know, the first verse, you know, I'm talking about me being at her funeral, you know, buttoned up to the collar, and it feels like a noose.
I got the waist around my ankles, buttoned up to the collar. It's like a noose, I'm feeling strangled. Shoot myself in the foot, it's like I am king to my own neighbor.
I'm in this tuxedo, I'm trying to honor my mom, but I feel terrible. And as the song progresses, You know, you see the light that Jesus has put into my life, and I guess the story of the song is I don't really understand everything. I don't know why she was taken. I don't know, you know, I don't really understand it, but I trust that he has a plan. So this album was kind of a redefining of who I was and who I am as an artist. I made music before I came to Jesus, and I came to Jesus and started making different music. And so I'd been in this kind of transition period for a while of this was who I was and this is who I am. And this album is really, hey, this is me and I'm here to stay. I think anybody can listen to it. I'm really not saying, hey, you have to follow Jesus, you have to go to church every Sunday to listen to my music. I really hope that that's not the case. I think that, and I pray that everybody could get something from it and just see the hope that I've been able to find.
You always. Yeah, I'll be with you always.
I love you so much, and I'll be with you always.
You know, I didn't get to go with you to meet Jake Nash, but I can't even imagine how you reacted hearing that story and just kind of filming him in his element and knowing that music impacted him in a way like that.
Yeah, I thought that was like, his story was just so beautiful, and the way he was able to take such a hard thing in his life and turn it into something so positive and something that really helped him, like, kind of find a purpose and find a way to connect back to her again, I thought was like probably one of the coolest things ever. Like, you know, sometimes you think like, oh, like a Christian rapper, like what is that? But I feel like I have such respect for what he does and the way that he uses it as like that outlet. You know what I mean?
And I definitely feel like a lot of people can relate to using music as an outlet, and especially something that heavy and that like dark. We see it in musicians all the time being like, this music was my only way to get through this.
Yeah.
So to meet somebody that's, you know, so brave in sharing his story like that too is just wonderful. Don't go away just yet, Rams. After the break, Naomi and I will be giving you some of our favorite releases from last month.
Awkward. Do I look familiar? I should. You might remember me from here. Here. Or maybe even here. But an awkward silence can be a great thing. It can actually be a perfect moment to reach out to a friend and ask if they're okay if they seem down. Doesn't matter how you say it.
You all right?
Everything's okay?
All G?
You all right, girl?
Oh,
you cool?
You bugging dog.
Just show you're there for them. Go on, Kelly. Seize the awkward.
Hey, you haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Welcome back, Rams. To end tonight's show, Katrina and I would like to leave you with some of our favorite new music releases from this month.
My first pick is Missing You by Lauren Weintraub. The only thing I'll have to say about this is if you're thinking about texting your ex, listen to this song first.
Missing you used to mean 2 a.m. Grab the keys in the car on your street, knocking by 203.
Yeah, so that song is just about like how missing someone doesn't mean you're supposed to text them or reach out to them. Sometimes it just means missing them.
I like the vibe that I've got from it so far. I like the vocals.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. For my first pick, it's got to be New Orleans by Del Mar. It's just so groovy, and it caught my ear immediately when I first heard it.
Keep your cool in the dead of night. You got your mind and you got my heart.
Yeah, so when I first heard that song, just the beat in the background, I was listening to it in my car. And not usually do I like listen to a song for the first time and I'm like, ooh, like I need to save that. But like as soon as I got home, I went back into my playlist and I like saved that song because I thought it was so cool. Like it, just the vibe.
I love when that happens with songs where you hear like 5 seconds of it or something and you're like, I'm saving this one immediately.
That's literally my favorite. When it can catch you within the first like 5 seconds, you know it's a good song.
I'm back with another Maren Morris recommendation from her new album that I mentioned earlier. I've been loving the song Good Friends. It has such a good beat to it and just always cheers me up.
'Cause we're good friends, we don't ask why, we just show up.
Yeah, that is such a wholesome song. I always just listen to it. It reminds me of my best friend and
Aww.
Yeah.
I feel like your, not quite obsession, but like the way that you like listen to
You
her
can
music
say
a lot,
it.
yeah, is similar to like my Anderson .Paak obsession. Like
Yeah.
where like we both have that one artist that we always have to like go back to. We always
We're
listen
like
to their
always
music.
gonna recommend it on
Yeah.
here. People are probably like, okay, we get it, you like them.
Well, for my second pick this month is Hawaii Mustang by Connor Kelly and the Time Warp. I love the sound of it and the vocals are beautiful. So this song, I feel like I do a lot of these, but the ones that you listen to with your car windows down, like driving around town, like that's just the vibe it gives me, especially because they're like singing about a car.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be putting our playlist on from this show because some of the songs that you put on there, I always like forget to go back and listen to them, but I'm going to do it this time. My final pick is WTF by Sasha Sloan. It's a song I've been listening to as I approach graduation in May. And if you also have a fear of your impending future outside of college, definitely give this one a listen.
Sometimes I got a hard time seeing the good in the chaos. If there's a meaning to my
Yeah, so as I graduate in like 1 month, and I've been listening to this song because it's just like about the future and like wondering what your meaning in life is. It's kind of existential.
Even as a junior, I'm scared about what I'm going to do
Yeah.
after college. And I feel like having a song to just listen to when you're stressed about that is probably one of the best things you could have.
It is.
And lastly, I have to go with Keep Me High by Wiley from Atlanta. I love the sound of his voice and the tune is so catchy.
Keep moving, keep going. Sun gon' rise for you each morning. Real torment don't survive.
So this song, I just like the beat. I feel like there's a lot of people from Atlanta. Like Atlanta's such like a big, especially like R&B kind of city to come from. And pretty much any artist I've heard from Atlanta, I've loved. So Wiley from Atlanta.
Yeah,
great job.
It's sounded good so far. I feel like our music tastes are totally different, and we need to
Yeah.
like make each other playlists and like see how different they are.
I would be very interested in
Let's
that
do
if you
it.
made me a playlist. You should do it.
Okay.
You should do it.
Well, Rams, it looks like that is all we have for you tonight. As always, check us out on Spotify, linked in the YouTube description of our show, to listen to all the music featured on tonight's show. I'm Katrina Leiby.
And I'm Naomi Homer. Stay safe and have a good night, Rams.